Hello, Fear Hippie here is here, and today we are going to see what appears on my YouTube recommendations. We're going to be watching a video by Twin Main Sage. I do not know them too much other than I believe they were in like a Fate Bandit or a Kaiser interview or something like that. They seem like a pretty chill person, and I thought this video seemed like an interesting topic to talk about, so let's get into things. Make sure to get on like and follow.
Okay, after doing so many interview videos, I think y'all know the drill. I asked a bunch of my community members what their hot takes were, and I've compiled what I believe are the spiciest ones, and I asked them to explain their opinions. I would love to hear y'all's DBD hot takes or opinions on whatever is said in this video. However, I expect you guys to keep it civil in the comments. Any rude people will be thrown into the stew and fed to Bubba.
Dang.
I think 2v8 is fine as is.
Survivors shouldn't be able to give on their first hook stage.
Anonymous mode or players on anonymous mode should have the endgame chat completely disabled.
Them adding the finisher Mori system was a mistake.
The game is not survivor-sided.
I believe add-ons are inherently unbalanced and unfair for both sides in a match.
Some of the broken mechanics and broken things introduced are with intent.
Plague is the worst design killer in this game.
Whenever someone says, I'm not responsible for your fun, it's just, they're being toxic.
I think this because the way that it's been balanced was very well done. The fact that Behavior decided to implement a class system and not bring in all the perks from the regular game was a great idea. I don't think they should bring any changes, maybe add classes like people have been asking, but that's fine. As for the queue times, I think, and this is the hot spicy part of the take. The queue times are fine, and I think people are so used to getting things instantly, having that instant gratification, instant queue times, everything on their plate immediately. I think that they have lost the ability to have a bit of patience with the queue times. I can get that for content creation it's annoying, or like live streamers, but I see no issue in waiting, a quarter of an hour or half an hour for a match as killer in 2v8.
The main argument of people who
Yeah, I will say, as far as TVA, I think it's a great idea the way how they came out with the loadout system. They gave us some different loadouts to use versus the perks that are in the main game. And I like that. I just think we need more loadouts. That would really help out a lot. As far as queue times, I am used to waiting like a long time for like 15, 20 minutes a match for like Overwatch stuff. However, I'm not a big fan of it, especially when it's like not a super competitive game. I feel like they should make the survivor side a little bit more interesting with more loadouts, more blood point incentives, more iridescent shards or XP experience earned so you can get more of these shards, I believe. And I think that would help out with that mode a lot.
quit matches is that they don't want to be forced to play something that they don't find fun, which it's fair. We play all this for fun. Um, However, by giving up early, they ruin the match for the other three players and potentially the killer as well. Because I'm actually heard this argument from other killers before that they just don't find a 3v1 fun because it's usually like 90% of the time a win for them, and they
It's
don't even
not.
have to try. So if they really don't want to play on their first hook, I think they should basically eat the DC penalty and just just disconnect and give us the bot at least. No one will force you to play. Just eat the DC penalty, give us the bot, and we can basically play a 4v1 with a bot, granted, but that's still a bit more fair than just playing a straight up 3v1.
I think this because it
I would say, I wish they would get rid of the ability to unhook yourself. I think that'd be very healthy for a game. Um, I do also find the luck mechanic be a terrible, terrible idea way how it's implemented, where it just increases your chances to unhook yourself. I think we should still be able to use Deliverance, Slippery Meat, and a few other perks like I think believe Wicked to be able to unhook yourself. But if you don't have those perks, not be able to speed up the time at which you die. Um, I like the cages in 2v8 because you really can't do that too much other than missing skill checks at the end. I don't even think you should be able to do that. I feel like the skill checks really should just be there, make it a little bit more engaging and to offer you more blood points. But if you miss, do not decrease the timer. Um, and if somebody like does do that in the GG Go Nets, I feel like they should be harshly punished with disconnect penalties and timeouts and everything else you can do to punish them, depip them. But also for people who do make it through and stick through that game, make them pip up more, make them get more blood points. That may give them some new shards.
It's a solution to the problem of anonymous mode players using it to just harass and cause problems for other players and use like that anonymity as a shield instead of, being on their main account and taking responsibility for that. By removing the endgame chat from anonymous mode players, that doesn't hurt the people who are using it for what it's intended for anyways. Again, like I said, the people who are actually hiding from harassment or streaming, they're not going to be harmed by not being able to see or talk. Like, yeah, it's going to be a shame to not be able to say GG's or that was a fun game, good luck next. The people who are going to go in the endgame chat and say like stuff like, oh, end your life, or oh, you're such a shit killer, or even do stuff in game like abuse exploits and like hold people hostage, like that is the only type of person that disabling endgame chat for anonymous mode players is gonna hurt.
The game since
Yeah, I feel like people having the anonymous mode, like it's just great in a sense. It can be good for like content creators, but why do they have to be in like be able to chat? Because now they can have this shield, they can stay behind, say really really toxic things. I also feel like if you I guess I'm just not a fan of anonymous mode at all, really. Um, because I feel like whenever you are able to put your name out there, like it holds you to a sense of great accountability. Anonymous mode, it really just gets rid of that accountability. I feel like for a lot of people, even like content creators, like they may go say some terrible, terrible things when they're not streaming, when nobody's watching, and use anonymous mode. Um, I feel like there's a lot more harm than good when we don't really have any type of accountability to keep us motivated and pushing forward to be better people.
adding in the finisher Mori, the vibe of the game has changed. Like before the finisher Mori, I felt that the games, like people still obviously would slug for the 4K and people would still try to get 4Ks, but I feel that a larger majority of games, and killers specifically, were willing to let the game just like end at a 3K, whether that be that the last survivor gets hatched or they let the last survivor escape. It like the games felt like they would kind of end at a 3K. The games now feel very like rush, and like killers are trying to go as fast as possible to get a 4K, and specifically get a 4K. Like anything less than a 4K feels like a loss, I suppose. Now the finisher Mori has just now sort of really made it that killers are now guaranteed a 4K above on anything else. Like they don't have to gamble a survivor wiggling off to get that last hook. They don't have to like they can now slug a third survivor to try to get the fourth survivor because now they're like, oh, well, I don't have to think about a hatch play anymore. I don't have to think about survivors trying to go for hatch at all because the hatch won't spawn until 3 survivors are dead. I know that when they were sort of talking about this, adding this into the game, there were a lot of skeptics and critics saying that behavior was looking for ways to potentially monetize the game more by uh, selling custom Moris. And, having a guaranteed Mori in the game sort of seems to follow along with that. But also, I think it just doesn't, Moris aren't special anymore.
I do play both sides.
Okay, I'll say this about Finisher Mori. The Finisher Mori really doesn't offer that much of a gameplay advantage. Because unlike Hoots, no single perk activates off of a Mori, which we really need some perks to activate off Moris. I feel like that would help out. Um, I would never see Moris before the finisher Mori was added. And I mean, I never saw it. I would literally go 200 games without seeing a single Mori. And I feel like they're still just as special. I feel like they are very incredibly cinematic. They help out with the branding of the company. They make the game more intriguing when you do see them, because you still don't see them that often, I feel like. Um, as far as like people being trying to go for a 4K more often, I feel like that's just the natural progression of the game. Especially during this meta right now we're in, where it's just very, very oh, a poor decision to go up against survivors when they can run like 4 or 5 different anti-tunnel perks, combine with other anti-tunnel perks off their teammates, and then you still may not need to get them. So really, the best way to negate a lot of it is to slug. Slugging is pretty strong right now, because it ignores so many of the anti-tunnel parts. Given it does create a problem of slugging a little bit, but I feel like if you nerf slugging, that's just gonna make people go back to hooking. Or if you keep on nerfing camping, keep on nerfing 3 gen, keep on nerfing tunneling everything else, killers may just stop playing the game. Just right now, it can be pretty tough, and I think this kind of leans onto a next point this next person is about to start talking about. But I am a bit a fan of the finisher more because it adds so much more dynamics to the game.
Sides. I mean, I am the Xenomorph Queen at the moment for a reason, and I do play both sides, and I hear every time that this game is survivor-sided, completely survivor-sided. Sometimes it's a little bit survivor-sided. Like, Swifts are seen as the strongest thing you can have.
Where are
And
they from?
when I play Killer, from time to time I see that too.
They have a very unique accent.
Exclusively. Informant Swifts, exclusively. And still we escape like maybe 20% of our matches, and we have comms. We are good. Like, we are not perfect, definitely not, but we are good. Like, 2 people we often play with are fantastic even. Still, we keep on losing. And I know the game is not exactly killer-sided or survivor-sided, though I know killers are designed to win more often than survivors do. If it were survivor-sided, it would be so unfair to have 4 people versus 1. Whenever I play killer, I don't really struggle. Just now, before I joined this interview, I had a match as the Wraith against the Bully Squad, and I mean, like, the actual term Bully Squad was fitting. They had the entire build for it, and they were teabagging and everything. I still won with the Wraith.
Yeah, you
We were
play the
able to
mean
hold down
builds.
for 2v8 without even all generators popping, and they did also do generators on the side. I don't see it. I know that it's survivor-sided. If you have like one of these rare hard comp survivor squads who go like, he's on 8, no, he's now on 6, he's on me in 11, I don't know. Yes, then you have no chance, because those are competitive gamers, which are super rare to face. I have yet to ever face them.
I
Usually
faced
what
them quite a
happens
few
is killer
times.
It's entirely a skill issue on my side, but never because survivor's overpowered.
So,
Okay, I'll go back to what they're talking about. I would say the DBD is a bell curve. Survivors are, or let's say, generally at low and mid MMR, killers are its killer sided for the most part. Um, More and more as you go into high MMR and into comp, it becomes survivor sided. So I really can't say it's like either killer sided or survivor sided when it's split between it so much. Um, I would say it's bell curve sided. It depends on what MMR you are and who you're playing with and who you're playing against. There's a lot of variables, and even it can depend on your map, it can depend on add-ons, perk sprawl, it can depend on RNG. Um, Generally, I will say that survivors do have better mounts in this game. There's a lot more survivor side mounts, which is why I do lean toward being more survivor side, but really it's more so just bell curve sided.
But never because survivor's overpowered.
so, what I've noticed a lot with like add-ons for both survivors and killers is that the way they work is they often act as like just like a straight buff or just like a slight number increase to whatever. Like I don't know, plus 10 so and so or plus one this and that. You know, in an online game, you know, keeping things balanced is very important. I find it personally a bit weird that someone could just like they just have the option of getting like just like a direct increase to their base kit at like seemingly not much cost. It's a bit different from like survivors bringing items or like having perks because those are designed with like those are designed differently, and I don't want to open that kind of worms. I want to just focus on add-ons. A lot of add-ons they don't
Open
really
them.
emphasize like different play styles like perks do. They're more just like slight
Yeah.
number upgrades or whatever. So an idea that I had, so you know how there are like there's two add-on slots, right? Random idea that I had is what if like the first slot you could choose like a I don't know like a benefit like like something which is like a regular add-on like like a positive thing like a slight increase in whatever, but then the second add-on had to be like a downside to sort of like balance it out. For me personally, add-ons come off as a bit too much like straight upgrades when I think they should be more like side grades. Like they're not inherently better or worse, but they sort of like they just give a different sort of play style.
Yeah, I think that behavior does right.
See, I'm not a big fan of that. I feel like add-ons are just fine. I feel like I don't really have a problem with adjusting number stats or prevent upgrades of players. I do think there needs to be more add-ons that are kind of like eerie add-ons where it encourages like different play styles. Like Destiny has one if you shoot a survivor past a certain limit, you can expose them one shot down them, which is really, really nice and encourages you to go for long shots. I feel like we need some more like that. What's another add-on that has a good downside to it? Um, oh, Hag has one that changes her playstyle completely, where it changes her into a chase hag, which is pretty freaking awesome. I actually enjoy playing hag that way. Um, but yeah, I would say we do need some more add-ons with positives and negatives. Because we have them with perks like Dying Light has positives and negatives, but we could use it a little bit more with add-ons. I will say that. But I'm all for them still being at the end of the day, still being an upgrade of some kind.
But they sort of like they just give a different sort of play style.
Yeah, I think that behavior does right now actually make broken things because they want to engage the older players more. So that would be they introduce new chapters for newer players and
Example?
new broken mechanics for the older player base, so that way they keep people engaged and playing the game. I think at the beginning it was just just mistakes, like they figuring out like the whole balancing thing situation, but with time they figured out that people started to make videos about it and people engaged more with the game once they introduced broken things, right? Which means, in my opinion at least, older player base, or like people that have been playing for a while, they do it for the people that have been playing for a while. When we're looking at different metas or like different things that they introduce, the thrill of the hunt meta, right? Where they just buffed the perk for a while, and everybody was running plaything with pentimento and all of that. Um, that was a short kind of meta, right? They tweaked the numbers again, if I remember correctly. But in that time, a lot of YouTubers made a lot of content. A lot of people went and tried the meta, or like the broken thing, right? Even though it was removed after that, so it was like a short spike of engagement, and then it went right back.
So it's kind of that it requires.
Okay, I kind of feel like that is true to a degree. But also, I can see where they really would just forget about it too, because through a hunt is not really a perk that's used that often. Like it's still used pretty regularly on het spills, but like if you're not a veteran player, I don't see you really being aware of it. And I feel like sometimes the devs they are kind of unsure of even what they put in the game sometimes and how it synergizes off of different things and how it can be problematic when you uh pair it with other parts of the game. Because even me, with my 6,000 hours, I have noticed where occasionally there'll be something I'll forget about in a game, and then you combine it with something else in a game, it just becomes brokenly strong. Which it can happen, but also I do think they like their hype. I feel like it's a kind of mix of both, really.
Comms, like a lot of comms. If you don't cleanse, you're playing against Noed. People hate playing against Noed. If you do cleanse, you're screwing over your team. But then you're supposed to cleanse all at the same time to force her power and then hide. But then if you don't cleanse, you play against Noed, but then you also can't heal, which invalidates a whole build. And then you can't play stealthy, which invalidates a whole extra build. And then if she takes 4 gen slowdowns, you can't play that build, so you got the run build. But then if you do cleanse, it invalidates that because she doesn't like a huntress hatchet or like a death slinger that require a good shot. She just kind of does one of those, and you just flail your mouse, and you get a cone of damage. She's got a little too much. I think she needs to be tweaked, especially because if I go down to just the M1, lo and behold, she can just vomit on me, or my buddy can come up and touch me while I'm hooked, and I get infected at no fault of my own. I think there's a little tweaking that needs to be done. Just something small.
Like a few years ago, I was watching.
Yeah, I would disagree with that. I feel like Plague is a pretty well designed killer where you can play up against her either cleansing or not cleansing. Anyway, you're gonna be punished in some way, but the thing that really makes up for it a lot is like her movement speed isn't incredible. It's like she doesn't have a certain map mobility. She still um gets beat in a lot of jungle gyms, and you can even stun her out of her power completely. So she is a very, very strong killer in that she does have slowdown and she has a very strong projectile, but there's a lot of counterplay you can do against her, which I feel like is the reason why she's actually one of the better designed killers in the game. Um, the only thing I will say though is she can be a little bit of a noob crusher. Like if you're not used to facing her, she can just really punish a whole team if one person isn't used to facing her. 'Cause it both with cleansing and not cleansing, you have to take on completely different play styles. And generally, I feel like it's best just to face her where you don't cleanse, and then only time you do cleanse is at the very last minute. But let's go into the next one.
Watching this streamer, and he did basement Bubba month, and he usually just kill like one person by camping them. This was like before anti-camp. So then they'd get mad and he'd say, "I'm not responsible for your fun." And it's like, well, I guess that's kind of true, but I think it's just a way to maintain like plausible deniability that you're not toxic because you can completely ruin someone's game and you can like get out of free. It's like a get out of jail free card because it's like, oh well, that's technically true, but it's usually after you did something to make the game like completely unfun for the other side. And I think that I'm not responsible for your fun is kind of like not true in a way because I mean, I suppose it is true in a way, but I think that you should care. You're not obligated to, but just treating the other side with decency is going to make a better experience overall. And every game in the world benefits from good sportsmanship. So,
I'd
Yeah.
like to think my
Yeah, so with that being said, I will say I'm one of the people who used to say I'm not responsible for your phone very, very often. And I did that to several teams. Even if the people like forfeited, even if they had like a bot. Um, Nowadays, like somebody has a bot, or if somebody forfeits to me, I'll set that and I'll start going like easier on them and try to slow down to kind of match the pace of the lobby because I realize I don't want to kill the game. And if I go all out all the time, it will kill the game for a lot of people. And I don't want that to happen because I enjoy playing this game. I love playing DBD. Um, Although I will say, I'm not responsible for fun. I have noticed, a lot of times I just be playing the match, and like I would be playing a match up against a team that was truly trying, whole way through, and it was a really, really hard, long, and fought out match. I really wouldn't be too much like banter or anything going on in the match. I would just be trying my best to win, and I would resort to tunneling, slugging, 3-genning anything I could win, and they would result tunneling gens, body blocking, um, and doing everything in their power so they could win as well. Um, but I would still be in the in-game chat. I would receive a lot of hate mail because I went all out just like they were going all out. And then I would say that I think those cases are valid, but there are plenty of cases where it's not as well. So yeah, let's
good
try to wrap it
sportsmanship.
up a little
So,
bit here.
I'd like to thank my interviewees for participating in this very fun interview. If y'all would like to participate in these types of videos, you should join the Discord.
I
These
need to join
videos
your
are fun
Discord. I haven't
and I have
yet.
some Ko-Fi supporters, so I'd like to personally thank Souza, Fluffy, Herpington, Fajitas42, Taxifern, Obashi,
Okay. Well, anyways, I will say that is a pretty good video. I do like hearing DVD hot takes. I think they are pretty entertaining. Also, I do like uh, Twins main Sage as a content creator. So make sure you give her a like and follow, and I will see y'all around. Bye bye.